Chatting. Let's go ahead and get this meeting out of the way. I think the people here now are the only people we're going to have. We got Michael and Rob and Aid. Aid, haven't seen you in a while. We got John, got Lynn, who was on the election committee. They got this other guy, and then Ed. That's working up the list on my side. Ed is the treasurer.
Were we
So
expecting Nick to join us too?
I was expecting at least Bob Bennett, but we can work without him because I talked to Bob at lunch Friday, and he's okay. So I'm going to go down the list of things that we talked about during the executive meeting that we need to bring up and we need to get in the recording. So the deal is, it is the 4th of July and people are out doing fireworks and watermelon and whatever else they do on the 4th of July. They're not sitting at home in front of the computer. If we had this meeting in person, we'd have exactly the same problem. We'd have 10 people show up. It'd be the same 10 who do everything. And that's expected. It's a holiday. We decided to have the meeting and not cancel it because there are some things that we are required to do in July. One of the things we're required to do in July, this is the first thing on my list, is announce the election committee. Um, July is when we put the election committee together. Anybody that wants to run for office, put together a slate. The slate has to be 5 people: president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, or secretary and treasurer. Ed is currently the secretary and treasurer. And then either one member at large or two have to have 5 members. Bob Bennett, who we will post his call sign and contact information on the website or on Facebook as well, is the election chairman. However, Lynn is also on the committee, and Dick K2UFT is on the committee. So if you want to run for office, put together a slate, submit the names and call signs of those 5 people to one of those 3 characters. The only requirement is I think you have to be a member for sure. I think you have to be over 18 if you're going to be president or treasurer. I think that's the way we've decided at some point in the past. But if you've got a couple of guys, young guys, who they be members at large. And the way I usually tell people when we're doing this, the member at large gets to pick whatever project they want to work on, and they take that over as their own personal thing. And they don't really have any prescribed duties, so that's what they are. The definitions for president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary are laid out in the bylaws very clearly. So again, Bob Bennett, Lynn, or Dick, and we'll get the email addresses and contact information out. In fact, we might even, John, could you create an election committee email address for the club? All right, I see a thumbs up. All right, so election committee dot Atlanta Radio at Atlanta Radio Club.org. That will do that. And then in August is the election itself. And as the rules say, the current board continues until the end of the meeting. The current board is going to run. That's KB4KFT as president. That's John as vice president. Ed is the secretary treasurer. Rob is the member at large, and Rob's specialty is attending outings and being one of the best program managers in the metro area. Maybe not in the country, but certainly the best in the metro area.
Certainly
And
within 285. Yeah.
no, you got the whole thing. I wouldn't limit you to just IP because I know the guys out at North Fulton will lusting after you if they get their hands on you. And Val actually is sort of our CW trainer at outings. That's kind of his member at large thing. I don't think Val's here tonight, so we can talk about him. All right. That's the first order of business that we got to get done in July. The second is we're looking at getting back to in-person meetings. It is a big deal for us to get back to the point. The physical presence in the meet meetings, MEAT meetings, are just as important as radio meetings. So, John, why don't you give us the details that you've got worked out, and we'll see what can happen in the August or September meeting. John, you got it.
Okay, August will be an in-person meeting. It will be at St. Patrick's Episcopal Church in Dunwoody, and that is located right across the street from the entrance to Brook Run Park, where we do our field day and QSO party and a lot of our other outings in the parks. The address for the church is 4775 North Peachtree Road, and I'll put this will be in an email and in the newsletter that should be out tonight. and on the Facebook page. So there should be plenty of plus Twitter also. So there should be plenty of announcements for people to catch that information. It'll be in their smaller boardroom, which will have the ability for us to continue to do Zoom. And like I had told y'all last night, I'll have those details worked out the first of the week coming up. And I'll put all the information as far as entering the building for those of you who are here. As far as I know at the moment, we'll be entering from the left side of the building, and I'll have some sort of a sign out there big enough to catch everybody's attention as to where to park, what side of the building to go in, and all that. And we're literally right inside the door, so it's not hard to find us. Won't be able to miss us, but it should work out. And if needed, we can move to a bigger room in future meetings, and then we'll kind of go from there. And if it ends up being a permanent spot, it is costing us a few dollars, but nowhere near what some of the other places are charging. And if it's permanent, great. If not, we'll eventually move to something else. But for the immediate future, that's what we're going to do. So St. Patrick's Episcopal Church, Dunwoody, North Peachtree Road, about what is that, 1.5 miles or 2 miles north of 285. And I guess we'll also need to come up with maybe a dinner spot beforehand. We'll kind of have to include that as part of the to be announced details. So that's about all I have for the few that are here tonight. Anybody have any questions?
I'm good.
Yeah. I hadn't even thought about the dinner spot, but you're right. We haven't done this in so long. We've forgotten how to do it. So yeah, we'll have to figure out a dinner spot close by. I think a Mad Italian on Thursday. That's pretty crowded. We find something in the neighborhood, maybe even just Wendy's for the
Wendy's,
first time or
Taco
two.
Bell or something. Who knows?
Yeah. One of the ARRL suggestions is you don't have your meetings at a restaurant because people tend to concentrate on food. I know the Coweta County, the guys down in whatever that town is I went to, they had theirs in a barbecue place, and I did the presentation after dinner, and it seemed like it worked pretty good. They had a nice room off to the side. It was relatively quiet, but again, it's like I got there and they paid for my dinner, and we all sat there for about an hour and ate, and then did the presentation. It seemed to work pretty good. And we haven't found a meeting place in Brookhaven or North Atlanta that will do that. All right, John, we'll get the details on Facebook, get it out there, and a couple of us, you and I guess, will get there early enough on the first Thursday in August, which is, what's the date of the first Thursday in August? I have a calendar handy. I got one hanging on the wall here. Looks like August the 1st. Oh, that worked out good. So we'll get there. We'll get there a little bit early and sort of direct traffic, kind of make sure people don't get lost in the parking lot. All right, John, is that it?
Yeah, that's it. It's not hard to get lost there. It's just the parking lot circles around the building, so it's just like in a circle. So it's not
Yeah,
difficult.
I could get lost.
Yeah.
All right, third item on tonight's town hall meeting, and we're mixing announcements and town hall meeting. 13 Colonies coming up this weekend. We are at some point, I'm going to have some times when we will be the official state of Georgia K2G 13 Colony station. It won't be for the entire duration of the day, but it will be for a couple, 3 hours here and there. Nathan he and I have talked about it, and I said the best way to do it might be, to have a block of an hour and a half, or 2 hours, and then another block of an hour, hour and a half, or 2 hours on a different band. And the reason being that, like Rob pointed out, if people have never worked a pilot from the back end, from the inside, it takes a little time to learn it. We want them to have time to get exposed to it, actually do it for a while, but not be slammed the entire time we're there. Anybody that's done a POTA activation knows that if you get spotted for about the next 30 or 40 minutes or so, you absolutely have no time to even breathe hard. I don't think it will be that bad, because by Saturday, most people have already, worked all they're going to work. And the real issue is by Saturday and Sunday, the people that have not worked all of them are frantic. And I've ran into that a couple times when I did it a couple years ago. I was on the next to the last day, and I had a lot of people get aggravated because I didn't work them next. And the trick is, you do the best you can, you have fun doing it. Some guy cops an attitude, well, he's not going to be close to you. Um, so that's the deal. We'll have 15, 20, and 40 meters covered completely. We'll have enough antennas so each of those radios can run either dipole or vertical, and the operator can switch between them and get the one that seems to work the best for a particular contact, maybe switch back and forth. There are different characteristics between dipoles and verticals, so it would make a difference. We'll also have radios to sit there and do FT8 on, on one or more band, depending on whether somebody else has signed up for that band or not. The way Nate has it set up, if somebody looks out and does not see a band on FT8 spotted, then they can spot it and do it. So, and that's kind of the way the New York people kind of want it done. So if we look at it on Saturday afternoon and we see that 20 meters is not being covered for FT8, then by golly, we can step in and we can just run it and we can become that station. Anybody can do that as long as they're willing to submit the logs. And Nathan will be there part of the day, so he can be the judge. In any event, I'll start setting up. We depending on what time our first slot is. I'm planning that we will be on the air from noon until 7 p.m. And if we're not the official K2G station on 20 meters, then somebody can be on 20 meters working the other 13 colonies, the other 12 colonies. That's just kind of the idea. So we'll have people working the colonies and people working K2G. Hopefully they'll interleave well. Lynn, if you want to bring your 6 and 10 or 6 or whatever, that's fine. If you wanted to put up the 15 dipole, or the 15 dipole on your stand, that's fine too.
Okay.
But if you do that, then you also get the 15 vertical and you are the 15 station for the duration.
Yeah, I'm willing to run 15. That's fine.
Okay. So I'll have a 6 meter dipole. I have a 10 meter antenna. We can jump around on those. I don't expect to be a lot of activity on 6, though one of the guys was saying today on one of the chat groups that he was running FT8 on 6 meters and it was hopping all day, which it's got to be local, right? I don't think 6 meters is open that way, so it's got to be local, but local counts.
Yeah, I don't have my notebook set up for doing that yet. I'd have to install the software. I may have time to do that if you want me to also help out there.
You
But
brought up
if
you
you
made
got
us.
somebody else doing it, that's fine.
Well, I was going to bring mine. That's mainly what I've been doing is playing around with it, trying to
Okay,
learn,
good.
trying to learn how to be a courteous operator. A lot of people aren't. There are some tricks to use an FT8 that you just have to kind of do it for a while. And you did mention at one time of having maybe a second Sunday session of setting up FT8. Was
I
that your
was
idea?
Well, I was thinking about doing FT8 at some point, and I've done it here at home, but the problem is I haven't got the logging working. That's my problem.
Okay, so if I'm doing FT8 Saturday on one of the off bands, and at some point you can come over, I'll show you how it works because you don't need any other software. You can install Ham Radio Deluxe and Grid Tracker and all that, but it does produce a log internally.
Yeah, I got grid tracker to work, and I just didn't figure out the log on the original software, which is
Okay.
that W whatever.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, it's in there. The problem is, or the issue is that every time you start the application, and again, we'll do this Saturday, every time you start the application, it recreates the log from scratch.
mhm.
And on the others, there are 3 or 4 logs that it does keep. It will rename the current one to old and start a new one. But on the actual logging, it just deletes the file, starts from scratch. So if you know where it is, you can just rename it and you're in good shape. And I've actually written a little program that I run before I start, WSJT, whatever it is, that will actually rename the log with the current date so that I can keep the logs and archive them as I want to. But I've taken the log directly out of that folder and dropped it into the POTA website, and it consumed it and gave me the credit for the contacts. So it's a good log. All right, so we'll worry about that Saturday.
All right.
Next step
I'll
on, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'll go ahead and try to install the software on my notebook and get it running here at home. So I'll be ready to try to copy what you've done.
Okay, you've got the correct USB cable for your 7300, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, cool. All right, so the next step, the next thing on the agenda that we had for tonight's meeting is the repeater. Um, we're going to go ahead and switch over the insurance to what the bank requires us to have now. That means that once that insurance goes into place, we can drop the insurance we had that we thought they were going to be happy with. We'll get a partial refund on that. But the clock is on now. So you guys that are listening to the recording, those of us who are sitting here already know what's coming. You guys who are listening to the recording, the Atlanta Radio Club is probably going to lose access to the bank tower on July of 2025. The insurance is more than we can pay for a year. It's right at $3,000, which converts into 100 members. That's the most expensive single expense the club has. So we just can't afford that, but we need to cover some of the special events and things coming up, like the road race today. We got the couple of marathons coming up, the Christmas parades, and we don't want to just drop off and leave those people hanging. So we agreed to bite the bullet to pay the expensive insurance for 1 year and spend that year trying to find another location downtown or somewhere central. Won't be as good as what we got, I don't think, but you never know. In any event, the race is on now. So if you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody that manages a building top or has access to a tower that would be willing to talk to us about moving our equipment, we certainly want to know. And we are going to be aggressively chasing this because come July 2025, if we don't have a place to go, we go off the air. And there really isn't any other way around it. We just cannot afford the insurance unless somebody dies and leaves us like $1 million in trust or something. That might, but I'm not going to hope for that. Not at all.
Well,
Go
since
ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say since uh we were used for like the Peachtree Road race, that's huge.
Yeah.
Um, is there any leverage there with any people of importance to help us out?
We're going to explore that. I don't think for the Publix road race, the marathon, that's anything because it's for charity. And we got to be careful, Lynn, because it's not legal for us to charge for services. A couple of clubs in the area have gotten in trouble with that or
Yeah, I
skirted the
wasn't
trouble.
suggesting that. Just somebody has leverage in order to help us find a rooftop.
That's exactly why we're starting to spread the word. And we've already talked to a couple of people that have contacts downtown. John, I think, has a contact that might get us on one of the buildings at Emory, which has got to be. Well, I mean, it's not right downtown, but we don't need to be on the highest point downtown like we are now. We just need to be somewhere good.
I know a guy at Coca-Cola who's an engineer. I could
Okay,
talk to him and ask him who would be the contact at Coca-Cola,
there you go.
just to get you a name.
There you go. That's
I-
that's why I mentioned this in a meeting is so people can do that for us and we'll
Is their
explore.
building high enough to be useful?
Yeah. Question is, would they give amateurs access to the rooftop?
Sure. Well, this guy's an engineer, so he could probably fill out the situation for us.
Okay. Well, if you can do it without getting him in trouble, fine. The real issue is that a lot of times the buildings are not owned by the company that's in them, and the rooftops are managed by another company still.
Gotcha.
And that's kind of what's happened to us. The building has changed hands a couple times, and in the process, even back when I was there in the year 2000, we were going through another company to put antennas on the roof of the building, which since we were tenants is no big deal. But even then, part of our insurance liability for the roof was covered in our rent, so no big deal. So there it is. We're going to put it out. We're going to start chasing it. It is a big deal because come July 2025, if we can't relocate the repeater, we're probably going to lose the bank tower. The real problem is that they don't mind our equipment being up there. They just won't let us get to it. And if something breaks, it's broke. And we're just kind of stuck. So Ed and John are going to work on the insurance. They're going to make sure the quote we got back at the 1st of June is still good. Ed's going to pull the trigger and do it. And by next meeting, we should be able to report to you that the insurance issue has been settled, that needed repairs can be done. Right now, there's a problem with D-Star. We can't get up there and fix it. So maybe everything will be back to normal. Any other comments on the group here? And again, if you're listening to the recording, feel free to email or respond on YouTube, however you want to do it. Be sure and respond to it because we will need help. Any other comments from the group on the repeaters before we move on? Good. Well, we've talked about this. The executive board has been talking about it a lot. All right, and then here comes Ed's favorite topic. We have a lot of people who are on the rolls as members who have never paid their dues in a year or two. The club needs the money. We are a service group. These outings and things we're doing in the park or so you can come out and participate. The things we're doing with K2G this weekend, that's a club activity. It's not exactly free. It's not expensive. Your dues cover all that. Your dues also keep the internet connection alive at the bank tower so we can run D-Star and DMR and whatever other service comes up. The access to the rooftop, the access to the machine through the internet also allows us to do some management of the system without necessarily having to go to the bank tower. So we've been limping along using that, but dues cover all that cost. And if you don't pay your dues, eventually the club's going to go bankrupt, going to go away. Simple as that. We also put on a ham fest, which raises a little bit of money for the club. This year, it didn't raise very much, so we're restarting the ham fest after a couple of years. But the important thing is, if you don't pay your dues, we don't have the cash to even put on a ham fest, even pay the fees to get that done. So if you're not sure about your dues, you can either go online and check, or you can contact Ed. He's the secretary treasurer for the club. His email address is on the website. Find out if you are indeed, I won't say delinquent, but if you do owe dues, and we would really appreciate it if you would pay them. At some point, we're going to have to go back through the logs. I've been sending out email to the people saying, hey, you're behind. We need your dues. At some point, we're going to have to scrub the database. And if you haven't paid your dues in a while and you're behind, when we scrub the database, you just disappear from the logs. There's no other way to do it. We need to get control on this. So if you feel like you owe your dues, it's not that expensive. Pay them. If you want to make sure with Ed that you do owe, then that's fine. Call Ed. You can email him. He'll tell you for sure. If you owe, if you do, pay up. If not, we're going to have to scrub it. There's been discussion about putting the list on the website. So maybe in a couple of days you can check there and see if your call sign and name is there. If it is, then you know. We have the options to pay online. We have the options you can mail if you want to mail a check, or you pay it online, whichever way you want to do it. We try to make it easy. But that's our operating capital. That's what makes the club work. And without blood, we won't be running very long. So yeah, dues are important, and we've been real easy about not pushing, but we're going to have to start pushing a little bit. Ed, you want to add anything to that, or did I pretty much cover it for you?
No, you did good. Good explanation.
All right. All right, so we have another special event coming up that John sprung on us last night, and it is on July the 20th. John, you want to do your spiel about the railroad?
Yeah, Railroad Rendezvous is an event that I think it's called the Southern Museum there in Kennesaw, and it's centered around the Civil War train and all the stuff that's involved with the Civil War. He called me back many months ago and asked if we knew anybody in town. I tried to pawn it off and didn't happen, but I told him that worst case, call me back and we'd figure something out. But basically, it's just it's an event for them to raise an awareness about the museum and get people there. They're going to have a couple different displays that day. One of them obviously is ham radio with a slight emphasis on telegraphy, but like I told the guy, most telegraphers that do that kind of railroad stuff have died off. We'll do what we can to simulate it, I guess. But
their website says that we're going to be there demonstrating railroad telegraphy.
Yeah, and I told them that we would try to simulate it as best we could because like I said, I've not been able to find anybody that can do that telegraphy. So
are we just talking about telegraphs or something, or?
Yeah, it's slightly different than it's it's slightly different than just Morse code. So it's not the tones. It's if you ever get a chance to go on YouTube or something, and look up telegraphy, railroad telegraphy, you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about. It was the precursor to Morse code and amateur radio, I guess. But I told him we'd do what we could do, and if nothing else, we could use it as a chance to also do a special event station and make contacts with people like we do on special events. So it'd be nice to have some Morse code guys that can do code out there. I think that'll be a kind of a plus, because it's telegraphy and Morse code are part of the same family. But
Well, it might be a challenge. Put Dick and Val on wires.
Yeah, he was hoping that we could, like I said, he was hoping we'd have the actual telegraphy exhibit going, and I told him, I said, there's nobody. There may be one or two people in the country at this point that probably can. Well, there's a few more than that, and they tend to be older hams that have picked up that stuff over the years out of their interest in railroad. But there's nobody that's here in the Southeast that I've been able to find.
I was trying to post a link to the railroad rendezvous in the chat here. I can't get the chat to come up. I have to sign in. I'm not sure. I'm not going to wrestle with it. We put it on Facebook.
Yeah, I'll put it on Facebook. I'll put an event thing on Facebook, and it'll be in the newsletter, which like I said, I'll have that out tonight, and then I'll also stick a
Groups
out there. I'll hit all that stuff tonight. I hadn't had a chance.
Okay.
I was going to do it last night, but I didn't get a chance to, so I'm taking time tonight to get all this stuff
Yeah,
done.
trust me, time gets away from you. The thing, Lynn, about the railroad, about the old teletypes, is that Val and Dick and most modern people, and I say modern all the way back to basically the beginning of ham radio, sent dits and dahs as long and short hisses or beeps or tones. And that's what they're used to hearing, did da, did da. But on the telegraphs, they didn't have tones. They had a clicker. They clicked up and down. And so the characters were carried by the space between the clicks. It's like a negative image of what we do. Instead of hearing the tone, you'd hear the beginning and ending of a click. So an A would be click, click. It would be click, 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 right? And an N would be click, 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 click. So it's kind of the opposite. It's like the negative image.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're listening to the holes, not the tones.
Like I said, it's pretty fascinating. If you go out to YouTube, there's some guys that are like Dick, and they're the K2UFTs of telegraphy. They're so fast, it's incredible. But
yeah, but who do they talk to?
But they're like 100 years old. Well, they're 100 years old, and there's only a few of them left. So
Yeah,
and they're probably dead. The people that are on the videos are probably all dead anyways. But
that's a shame. It's a technology that was critically important at one time, and yet technology made it obsolete. So obsolete that it's not even, you can't even describe it in modern terms.
yeah. So, anyways, that'll be Saturday, the 20th of July, and the event goes from 9:30 until 5. I think there is a small fee to get in the museum for the day, but whoever's there with us will have access for free. So I'll need to try to get people on the list so that I can make sure that you have access to it as a benefit for being there and playing around. But it's a chance to come out and play radio and also get into the museum for the day.
Yeah.
So,
And plus, you're sponsoring a museum, so if it costs $5 or $6 or $7 to get
Yeah.
in, that money is going straight to the museum, and museums are always good.
from what I understand, they're not going to charge us as members doing participating, but if you just kind of show up and I don't know, then you may not be on the list to get in for free. So
That's fine. Anyway, it was
I got to talk to him just to find out, but I just and I think they're going to give us lunch too. So
oh, that's
maybe,
even better.
yeah. So I
Like
don't know
I tell people, if I get to the point in my life where $6 makes a difference one way or the other, it won't make any difference one way or
but
the
it may
other.
be barbecue or something for lunch. I'll find that out too and put that out there. But it should be fun. I mean, we all have fun playing radio, and it's a good chance to promote amateur radio too. So and we'll have opportunities in the future to do it again. So this is not really isn't a one-time thing. This will kind of be the learning event for us, what worked and what we need to change or do for a future event, because I'm sure he'll probably want us to be out there at least once a year, maybe. But
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, once you make a presence, maybe next year we can actually come up with a set of keys that do the clack clack thing and just I don't know. They had that spark gap generator at one of the things. It tore the radios all to hell, but the kids had fun playing with it.
yeah, they've got an exhibit. I didn't really add because I think I can get my hands on something to at least have out, and maybe even hooked up. I'm not sure yet. I'm still kind of working on that. So,
All right.
like I said, none of us can send it properly, but at least you can push it and make it make a noise and stuff. So,
Well, yeah, I mean that helps. It looks like it's getting ready to rain at my house.
yeah.
Okay, well that basically covers everything we needed to bring up in the town hall the town hall part. The club is involved in quite a few activities right now, but they're basically low key because again we're hurting for money. The insurance has got us, and dues are running down, so we're trying to do activities that still put on a public face that people can come up and see what we're doing. At the same time, don't cost a whole lot of money to try to put on. We don't have the resources that somebody like a Norfolk or a Gars can. Um, Second Sunday technical sessions have been, it's kind of hard to do those and do outings in the park. It's the sixth time. Lynn has mentioned that he would like to have a session where maybe we learn how to set up FT8 on our computers and radios. I think that's very possible to do. We did something like that several years ago using with PSK31 by setting up the software, but instead of having it go to a radio, we actually sent it to a speaker, and we were sending and receiving PSK31 across the thing at the airport audio. Just basically you send the message, it sends the tones over the air, the microphone on the other little computer could hear it and decode it. And then the only thing you really have to do at that point to make it work on the radio is the Cat5 stuff, which in itself is a bit tricky. So we will have a second Sunday session coming up in August. July is going to be this thing now. We're doing the 13 colonies. So August will be second Sunday. If I can figure out how to do it, Lynn, in a way that works, I will. Otherwise, I'm thinking we might do something in the building because August will still be pretty hot outside.
Good point.
We have an antenna build in the works. It'll be probably the September meeting. That will be the second Sunday, but I don't have the details worked out there, so I'll update Rob so he can update the web page when we got it. Beyond that, the club is tricking along. We've got the election coming up. We have lunch every Friday, as you can see on the page up here. Um, the lunch place is a very good lunch place. There's usually a little confusion at the end over the bill because he gets the orders in as quickly as he can and then comes back later and says, "What did you have again?" And you got to be honest with the guy, right? So, but the food is pretty good. Nobody who normally complains about our food, and that includes me, has complained. The service is good and it's in a good central location, though rebuilding that Publix grocery store in the shopping center, they basically have taken over three-quarters of the parking lot now. So get there early so you can get a spot close to the door. And there's a sign at the street said, "Yes, we're open." It looks like maybe the whole building is gone, but it's not. Okay, so we've gone for 30 minutes into what would normally be a 1 hour meeting. I think we've covered everything that needs to be covered. Is there anybody who needs to discuss anything that's on the meeting?
I've got one idea to suggest, but it's probably too late to do.
Throw it out there.
There's a gamer convention that's going to be done probably at J. Miller Park or something. And also the Antique Computer Club is part of that as well. If you wanted to have hams be seen, that might be something where you'd want a few hams to go pitch a tent and operate and introduce ham radio to other people because
It's
they're
not at the
not
park. It's at the Waverly.
the Waverly.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know it was at the Waverly. I guess it was last year. It was at the park.
They
I
got the
thought
whole Waverly. It's a big thing.
I thought we had a good thing going there until you said Waverly. We don't do well inside of cast iron buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could we operate from the parking lot?
Well,
Yeah.
it's probably too late anyway because I think it happens in July sometime, doesn't it?
I don't know. You're the ones telling us about it.
Yeah, it's the end of July.
End of July, 27th, 20th?
Somewhere. I don't know. I got my weekend pass.
Ah, okay. Look at the date and see. Maybe we can work out something. Maybe we can figure out something. I mean, if we said, hey, we'd be in the parking lot with a couple of antennas and just working whoever we can work. The weekend of the 27th, that's also the Alabama QSO party, so the bands will be lit up pretty good for that. Okay. Anything else? Anybody got anything?
Gamer convention in Atlanta.
Yeah, I got that. So I used to run the Sunday night net, and I always volunteered to run it on the night that we had the Super Bowl because we would run an abbreviated net, and I didn't really care who was winning or losing the game, so I didn't have to rush off. But we did an abbreviated net on Super Bowl Sunday every year. So this is an abbreviated club meeting for July the 4th, 2024. And the next one will be in August at the church. And like to have a good turnout. I really would, to get off to a good in-person meeting start. John, we'll find a good place to eat close by and put it out early so people will know. And that's it. I don't have anything else on my sheet. Nobody's got any other comments to make?
Yeah, I got a question about the in-person meeting.
Sure.
Are we going to return to the door prize? The giveaway at the end of the meeting?
Eventually, yes, I think for the first couple of meetings, since it's probably going to be a very, very small number, probably not for the first couple of meetings. We'll wait till we get back up, because basically, if there's only like 6 of us there, I just hand it to somebody and say, "Here's your door prize." That's just sort of takes the dramatic flair out of it. So but yeah, I'd like to get back to that, even if it's just to pass a $25 gift certificate to HRO. They don't do that anymore, by the way. So,
Yeah, I've got some stuff I was gonna donate.
oh, you're talking about swap and shop. Yeah, we've been doing that on the second Friday at lunch, to bring stuff and just trade and give them and throw around. And I've got stuff I'm going to be bringing on the second Friday in July, which I don't have a map. I don't have the calendar, but it'll be next Friday, not this Friday. But yeah, Wayne what's his call sign? W4KW suggested that. And I told him if he would push it, I would push it as well. And he's sort of not pushing it a little bit, but I have. I came with a bag of stuff last time to trade. He did too. He ended up not trading anything. But I've got some stuff to bring. It's a good way to get started, and mainly it's just I have things that I can put out into the community that they can use. I'm not looking to trade so much as give away. So if you want to come to lunch on Friday, 8, bring your stuff. But if you want to bring it to the club meeting, that's fine too. If we don't give it away at the club meeting, I have no problem hanging on to it and making it available later.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't thinking of swapping. I just had some stuff that I thought might make good door prizes.
Sure, I got no problem with that. If you want to bring it, if you want to trust me, I can make sure they get spread around. I mean, that's part of my job. John is technically the master of the inventory, but I'm the one with all the room.
Noga used to do that at the Noga meetings. They'd have a table there of just, giveaway stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I had that old estate that I picked up, and that guy had like 1,000,000 QST magazines from the 30s and 40s, and I took them over there and said, "Take as many you want, and put whatever you think they're worth in the can." I walked out of there with about $90. I was thinking people take 5 magazines and drop $1. They took 5 magazines and put 100 in there, and the family was real happy because they got all the money. I said, those magazines I had that you were going to throw away, I got I think it's $92 for them. In the overall scheme of things, it's not a lot of money, but the family thought they were trash and they were worth something at least. All right, Aid, yeah, bring your stuff, or I'll come pick it up, or however you want to do it. Just let me know offline what you want to do, and I'll make sure it gets spread around. If you can't spread it around, I'll spread it around.
Hey, Bill, I could throw a couple boxes of those electronic parts I handed out to you guys.
It's up to you, Lynn. If you want to do that, that's fine.
I'll be at tomorrow's lunch, so I may bring a couple boxes for you.
Okay, we can do that.
19th through the 21st is the dates for the Southern Fried Gamer Convention.
Okay. So that coincides with the Saturday would coincide with the 20th that we've already got the railroad rendezvous.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that doesn't make sense then.
Yeah. Too many events at one time.
Yep.
All right, and you guys listen to the recordings. Remember now, we're going to be at Brook Run Park. Check Groups.io. The address and everything is in there. The operating times will be noon to about 7, packing up starting about 7. We're usually out there by 8. If you want to come get on the radio, we'll get you on the radio. This time we're going to have all the radios and antennas and power supplies there. We can't do it like we normally do, where you bring your own radio, bring your own antenna. This has to be a little bit more constrained. Next time we'll be back to the Wild West. But if you want to operate either work a pile up or work the stations with an Elmer at your shoulder, this is it. And that's it. And the election coming up, election committee at atlantaradioclub.org if you want to run. There is a slate in place at this point. And if you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows someplace in Atlanta where we might get on a rooftop, let us know. And with that, I say the meeting is closed. Everybody agree with that?
Yeah, one quick thing, Bill.
All right.
I'm gonna bring one box fan Saturday. Can somebody else bring a box fan if you have one?
I'll bring one.
Okay.
I got one specifically for this.
Okay, good.
I got something specifically for something everywhere, Ed. I've done this so much. I've done this so much, and I got boxes. Oh Lord, I'm just like all these other people. You know, if anything happens to me and somebody tries to come in and clean up my estate, they're going to it's going to be a nightmare. I have to live forever now. This is no choice. All right, that's it. I'm out of here.
Have a good night.
See y'all See y'all Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
All right.